At the very end of the AlphaGo course, I told you that this might not be the last we hear about it, because another match 10 years after the first one was rumored to be held between Shin Jinseo, the strongest professional, and the old version of AlphaGo. That match never happened, but we got another one. A match between Shin Jinseo and KataGo, one of the strongest AIs that we can all use to learn Go. And of course, humans can no longer play against KataGo or any AI on even terms, so some handicap needed to be introduced. And first of all, Shin Jinseo took 2 stones, and not only that, but he had 5 hours of main time, versus KataGo only having 20 seconds per move. And I checked, I think they said that after playing the move, KataGo was not allowed to think anymore. So just those 20 seconds. And they were supposed to play 3 games, regardless of the results. And this is going to be game 1. And right at the beginning of the match, we get the first surprise. After black takes the corner, KataGo plays here. This is a move that we've never seen before. Like, what kind of an approach is this? It looks like a corner approach, or does it just split the side? It's hard to say. Of course, this move is not Sente, so Shin Jinseo takes the corner, and then this approach here, and now this sequence is played. Now, this is actually what the AI is strongest at, and I think this is where it's really difficult to play against it, because before the AI, all human professionals would play those super long and beautiful Joseki sequences. But when the AI came along, it kind of canceled all of them, and a lot of Joseki just became, well, we play the first couple of moves and then we just leave it there, and then we finish it later when we know for sure which sequence we need. And this is what KataGo is doing here. You see, it approaches the corner like this, and after black responds, it just doesn't do anything else, and it says, okay, we'll think about this later. And this is also best for handicap play, because we are not determining the position too early. We leave as much uncertainty as possible. And then we'll play this, and now that stone, that strange stone from earlier, now seems like a very far away extension. But again, it's tempting black to invade, but then again, would you invade right away? Do you want to just, instead of playing a normal opening, would you want to jump inside and start a fight against a very strong AI? Not sure. So Shin Jinseo finishes the Joseki, and now KataGo presses. And after this, just tenukis like a pro and jumps like this. This really seems like a brilliant teacher is playing with a very strong student. So white is just playing brilliant moves, moves that we've never seen before, moves that are so unusual, and black is just following around, playing very cautiously. It's a sight to see. So very properly, black follows up because white never played at the top. And now, okay, corner approach, a kick, and this. And again, this is not a 2-space extension, it's a 3-space extension. So again, daring black to invade here. But if black does, again, it's going to be a fight. Does Shin Jinseo really want to jump in there right now? Okay, he doesn't. He jumps like this, very safely. And now a submarine invasion. And again, because black already invested quite some stones into that corner, of course, technically black could do this. But now white would maybe push here once and then take the corner. And now, in spite of all of those stones that black already played in that corner, black's going to lose all territory. That seems unfair. And so in the game, black responds like this to claim some territory. But now this and this. And with only a few stones on the right side, white seems to be controlling all of it. Very difficult to invade. I personally wouldn't know how. And now Shin Jinseo plays a very standard sequence, which actually often white plays, like a stronger player does something like this. Attach, and then invade the corner.
And if Go inspired you, check out Go Magic. It's both a website and a mobile app with courses for every level, from beginner basics to advanced strategies, plus tons of interactive problems to sharpen your skills. The perfect place to grow as a Go player.
And typically we might think, okay, there's 2 choices, right? There's this connection, which every beginner would play. But then again, we know that this is not the best choice, because black will just get this move, which connects up the stones and gives black a stronger shape. So somebody might say, well, this is a stronger option. But then this is a riskier option because black will cut, and this stone cannot be captured in the ladder. This is a ladder breaker. So how is white going to handle this? This is very dangerous. So KataGo actually plays the best move, and this move is really good to remember because it's very counterintuitive. It's this one, making an empty triangle. And now black just extends, strengthens the wall, white captures the stone, and black invades. So having gotten a stronger wall, black decides to fight. And immediately after this, KataGo plays this. This is the opening. We're still at move 35, and this is playing second line against all opening rules. But this is a huge reverse sente. Because let's say if white doesn't play this move, let's say white plays, well, something like this, then immediately black can play this move and this connection pretty much for free, because white will have to respond to keep the corner. So if this is free, if this is absolutely sente for your opponent, you really want to take this move away. And so that's why white plays this descending move to threaten the connection with the white stone and also remove this sente move from black. I wish we could always tell when playing a second line move in the opening was okay. Now black covers to attack. Actually, the AI shows that maybe it's a little bit better not to cover like this, but to kick first and then jump. This is probably a more severe attack on the white stones, but okay, this attachment is very standard as well. And the next move is a little hard to guess. You might expect that maybe something like this to connect up the stones, but KataGo does something very different. It plays this very unusual submarine move, which again threatens to either connect back to the white stone or dive into the corner. Black strengthens the stones, and now Sun, and this. White takes the corner. Now black needs some compensation. So black blocks here and wants to attack the white stone on the left. And of course we all know that AI is really good at saving the weak stones. But the thing is that AI is not just good at this. AI is really good at judging which stones need to be saved and which stones should be sacrificed. And so you pretty much never see AI running around trying to desperately save a group, because it either gets sacrificed right away or it will always have a very definite plan how to save the stones. And in this case, KataGo judges, probably correctly, the jumping like this, for example, is not the best idea. Because in this case, of course, maybe after a peep here, and then black will start attacking, and white's going to have to travel a long way trying to save these stones. And while white does, black will gain tremendous strength in the center and then maybe easily invade or erase the right side. Black will keep all the advantage this way. So this is unacceptable. So white plays this move. So light. Not even trying to save the stone. Just basically telling black, all right, if you want to take the stone, take it. So black does another move, and you see what white is doing. White is very nicely kind of sacrificing the left side, starts building a moyo. And the left stone is still not quite dead, so black adds yet another move here to keep the stone inside and also threaten the moyo. White protects, black extends, and this. KataGo is really playing this like a game of cards. Like when you know what cards your opponent has, this makes it so easy for you to manipulate them. So in this case, Shin Jinseo already revealed to KataGo that, well, the left side is very important to him. He wants to capture that white stone inside, and he wants to keep this as territory. And KataGo says, okay, if you want to keep this as territory, this is sente then. And even though this is move 49, white is now going to the first line to play this endgame move. And, well, if black doesn't want to lose this, black is supposed to answer like this. White will connect, black will connect, and white will have sente to play somewhere else. But of course, this is Shin Jinseo, and he doesn't want to play the game like this. So instead of this, black plays here, which is very unusual. It's a move that I would probably never find in 100 years. It's kind of suggesting an exchange, saying, okay, you know what? You can take the left side if you really want to, but in this case, I'll take your corner. And that's what happens. White gets this move, black plays here, and it's an exchange. The corner for the side. An exchange here. Black connects. Attach, extend, connect. And now the moves at the top and the moves at the center are pretty much mi. So if black now takes the top, which is a huge move, white will finish building the center. So for example, black plays here. This is great, but in this case, white will play something like this. So in the game, Shin Jinseo decides to erase the center first. He plays here. White responds, and black also gets this one. This is sente. Black connects. Now this sharp move, trying to separate the black stones. Black invades, tries to separate the two white stones. Okay, it's an exchange. Black will capture those stones, but much later. There's no time for this right now. White responds like this, but this is actually a bluff. White shows that the stones are all connected, and they are, but actually they're not, because black has some stones around, so Shin Jinseo played here in the game. But AI suggests that actually it might be possible to play like this, just push through, and after this, push again, white has to connect, then we cut, white takes, and now we connect. Like, what is this move? Like, of course, normally you always want to cut on the other side, but in this case, AI shows that this is the best move. White will answer with something like this, because there are too many cuts, and as soon as the white stones get cut off, the left side is in danger. So white kind of protects the left side in advance, and now cut, block, white needs to connect, black connects, the black corner is alive, and the group on the left is barely alive. So now, having separated the groups, it's going to be easier for black to fight in this game. But again, this is complicated and difficult to read. So in the game, black played here. White connects nicely, and black jumps deep into the center. Now, the thing is that if Shin Jinseo can just effortlessly jump back and connect the stone to the top, that would be very nice. But of course, AI is going to do everything to prevent that. So it plays this exchange, trying to gain some forcing moves to cut off the center stone. Okay, black extends. Now this, black really needs to save that stone. And because we are in this kind of survival sabaki mode, we could attach now to get things done faster. Of course, black could think of something normal like this, but this is not forcing, this is not pressing white into anything, so black doesn't really want to do this. What black plays here, and this is the best move. With this attachment, black is gaining momentum to try and gain more forcing stones in the center to possibly more quickly connect to the top group. White responds, and then Shin Jinseo extends, but actually in the spirit of sabaki, it is also possible to play like this, with the idea of sacrificing some of the stones, but then connecting the remaining chunk to the top. Something like this, extend, this. AI actually says that this is a better variation, but this whole sequence is a lot more complicated than what was played in the game. And Shin Jinseo probably just doesn't want to get into this type of a fight against the AI, because the more complicated it gets, the more difficult it is to control. And Shin Jinseo's strategy before the match was to try and maybe even play some deliberately suboptimal moves, but that would allow him to continue to have control over the game. And we'll talk about this more in games 2 and 3. So in the game, he plays this, which is a more simple move. White extends, black turns, very, very honte, very honest move. Now black is pretty much connected, but now white has time to play this beautiful tiger's mouth, which is also a honte move. And the game is getting closer and closer. Like we said in the AlphaGo course, it's actually very difficult to say when exactly the AI beats you, because every move that Shin Jinseo plays is not a bad move. A lot of them are great moves. And he just keeps playing great moves, but they're just not the best sometimes. Like this move is losing a 0.3. This move is losing 0.4. This one is losing 0.1. And just little by little, by fractions of points, Shin Jinseo is slowly losing the advantage. It is very depressing to look at this, and because he does all the right things, but the advantage just keeps slipping away like sand through the fingers. So black tries to reduce the center even more. But also, this is trying to separate the white stones and potentially attack them. Those 4 stones in the center are not quite safe yet, right? So white pushes, black extends, this, At this point, black is still ahead, and AI suggests playing at A next. This is such a solid and simple move. When you see it shown to you, you're like, yeah, that's a very nice shape. Of course I knew it. But this move is not so easy to play in the game because black really wants to push forward to attack, and yet AI says, well, you have to actually jump back and protect your own position first. But in the game, Shin Jinseo continues to push forward. So push here, now again, and again. Now, if I was white here, I would be feeling tremendous pressure because it seems that the white shapes are not connected, and it feels that, okay, something is definitely going to get cut. And once it is, I don't know how to save those stones. It feels like something's just going to die there. But of course, this is trivial for KataGo, and it knows exactly how it's going to handle those shapes. So while I'm feeling the pressure, while any human player might be feeling the pressure, KataGo doesn't feel anything. So it just plays here, and actually my AI shows that these are the moves that pretty much ruin the game. Before this, black was still holding the advantage, and now after these pushes, all of these were losing quite a few points, and by quite a few I don't mean 10, I mean maybe 2 and then 2 more. And this is where the game becomes dangerously close, because this is where black is threatening to cut here and here at the same time. But KataGo has a plan. Check this out. Boom. This invasion, like, what is this doing? It's crazy, because white surrounded this black corner, and now black has some liberty issues. And because of this, white manages to pull this off. Now, take a look at this. What it does is that, of course, black can cut it off, and black does, but now white pulls up, and in the game, Shin Jinseo had to play here. Now, why not like this? This seems like you can just cut and kill the 2 white stones, but this is actually a trap. Because of course, white's going to play here. This is sente, capture, and now there's no more cut over here, which means black can no longer cut, but actually white can. So at this point, white would counterattack like this, and there's no longer a connection. Black can't play like this, so black would have to extend with an empty triangle, push, extend, push again, and the game becomes pretty much even at this point. And we all know that if the game is even now, after only 100 moves, it means it's going to be impossible to win. So Shin Jinseo just couldn't take this variation. Instead of this, Shin Jinseo plays here, and white goes down to cut off. Black can still take, but we remember that you can't take them. So black cuts, but not with the intention of taking the stones, but with the intention of maybe sacrificing more. And after this, black says, okay, my corner is already alive, so I'm not going to capture those 3 stones, and black goes for the cut. And of course, that means that white gets to capture the 5 stones. This is a very big gamble. The decision pretty much has been made. Shin Jinseo decided to sacrifice a chunk of his territory, and, well, 5 stones, that's a lot of points, in exchange for an attack on the central group. But, like I said at the beginning, we know that the AI is very good at saving the stones. And if the AI allows you to cut, it probably means that it knows exactly how it's going to save the group. And it does. I played around with these variations quite a little bit to see if with the help of AI we could come up with a better way to attack. But white seems to have a perfect defense against almost any attack. So black plays here, a very natural shape point, but actually AI recommends jumping here, playing this peep. But okay, attack. White connects. Black surrounds. White plays this nice shape, and another peep. This is really trying to kill. White jumps here with a very strange shape. If black tries to push, white will block. And if black cuts, I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly how white's going to win here. I probably wouldn't as white. The white's shape looks very weak. It's all surrounded. I don't see any significant weaknesses in black's shape that white could exploit, so it seems like white is in huge danger here. And yet, white is somehow magically alive. So instead of this peep, black pushes. Now this exchange here. And again, this is the AI suggestion, and it seems like it's going to be so easy here to die as white. And yet, KataGo shows that white can live for sure. It shows some crazy long sequences how it's going to use every possible nook and cranny and just somehow survive at the very last moment. So black cuts, white blocks, black blocks here with an empty triangle, and this pretty much puts white in the lead according to the AI estimation, because there's still a cut remaining there in the black shape. Now this testing move, black blocks, this, white pushes once, connects, black pushes, and now again we have the last choice. Like, should black try to kill, play in the middle of that shape, or should black just protect and allow white to live? Well, suppose we play this and try to kill. It's very tempting, but it just seems at this point already impossible. Because, well, white can play this Atari, and now this push, and now this, black needs to connect, right? That's the weakness that was left. And now this connection, black can cut, but we sacrifice a stone like this. And now, of course, white will live, but before living, before connecting on the right, white's going to ruin whatever territory, whatever hopes for territory black had on the left, which means that this is over for black. Black doesn't have enough territory. So this whole variation is impossible. It's impossible to try and kill white. So we go back, and Shin Jinseo protects here. And this is one of my favorite moments, how AI executes living, because it never lives or does something that it has to do right away. Before just living, before playing what it has to do, it does all the free things, a lot of the forcing moves. And only then, having exhausted all of those, it will play the move that it has to play. Check this out. So before just playing this move, no. White plays this Atari first. Okay, black has to connect. Now this move, it's a threat. Black needs to connect. Now this is Sente. It's Atari, black has to connect. And only after this, white lives. And that exchange helps white a lot, because now, whenever white has time, white can capture those 4 black stones, which is also a very big endgame. So black plays here and here. And this is a huge reverse Sente. Just like what white did on the left before, at the beginning of the game, this is a very important move. And again, you might be thinking, well, there are bigger moves to play. Like, why wouldn't black play this move, for example? But if you do, if you play anything, or something like this, for example, another big move, but immediately white will play here. Black will block, white will connect. This is huge endgame profit for white, and also this puts the corner in danger. Now, playing at the 2-2 point will kill that corner, which means that black's going to have to protect, and white is going to get this whole sequence for free. Again, this is for free, so we would really want to prevent that. And that's why black plays here to reverse that and get a bigger corner and not to allow white to get this free exchange. Before doing this, white plays an exchange of his own. This, another one, black lives, and now block. Black connects. And another reason why this exchange was so good for black is that now, after white takes these 4, black gets this move in the future whenever black wants. This is also a very nice endgame possibility. Black plays here, captures the 2 stones. This is also very big. Now we can kind of scroll forward to see the final fight. At this point, Shin Jinseo is already losing the game, and he probably knows it. So he needs to find a way to start the final battle. And so after this exchange, okay, black connects. This, black protects. White's playing very proper moves, because again, white obviously knows it's winning, and there's no reason to play anything aggressive or anything complicated anymore. So after this, white blocks, this endgame comes, white connects, and this is where that exchange from earlier really shines, you see? Black gets a chance to destroy this whole right side and connect, but all of that doesn't matter. White is still ahead. And after this, and this, and this, white jumps here. Another interesting endgame move. Like, it's not playing here, which might be the first, or something like this, but it's again playing a very submarine-like idea. It's very low, Because of the second line, it's impossible for black to play something like this to disconnect the stones. White can always play something like this, or maybe even something like this, to just connect back. Another problem for Shin Jinseo is that because he's losing the game right now, he can't just answer. So he can't just play like this. Then it becomes a free exchange for white, this A to B. White played an active, sharp move, and black just defended. That's unacceptable, so Shin Jinseo needs to find a counterplan to fight back, not just passively respond. So, instead of responding, he plays there at the top. And now it's a battle of who gets scared first and who turns the car. Because white keeps playing here, black pushes there. White plays here again, threatening to cut black Atari. So black's bet is that he can separate the entire top group. And if black manages to separate and kill that group, and at the same time save the group on the left, maybe Shin Jinseo still has a chance. So that's what the plan is. White cuts, and this slowly puts the whole thing on the left in danger as well. Black turns, white plays here. This is a ko. Now black only needs to win this ko and save the left group at the same time. That sounds like a very difficult task. This is a ko threat. Black takes. White plays here. Black has to save the 3 stones. Now, after this, the whole black group on the left is properly cut off. And now it becomes this dance between the ko at the top and trying to save the group in the lower left corner. So let's check this out. White connects. Black makes some I shape. White takes. Black plays here. White pokes at the eye. Black makes another one. White pushes. Black connects. White takes the ko. Black connects. White tries to live at the top, expanding the space. Black takes. Of course, white could just connect at the top, but again, why would white give up a chance of saving everything, not just part of the group? So, white plays here. This move would also be very difficult for me to make, because it seems like the white stones are all connected anyway, but this move just adds this extra 10% of health bar to them. And now the white stones are invincible, which means it's going to be easier to attack the black group. So black makes an eye. White takes. Black blocks. White pokes at the eye. So far, black only has one real eye in the lower left corner. Black blocks. White extends. This is sente. White needs to connect. Tiger's mouth. Beautiful. This. White makes an eye at the top. Black takes the ko again. Same issue. White could live, but white doesn't want to live just yet. So block here. Black makes a good shape. Take. Throw in as a ko threat. White takes another ko. This is a threat. Black has to make this eye. Now, technically black is alive, but white still has plenty of ko threats against the black group. And that is a problem. So white takes the ko. This and this is a ko threat, and black decided to ignore. Black laid here, now here, and here. So black managed to kill the entire top group, and also gained a few more points on the right. The problem is that in exchange for this, black's lower left group died, and that was a huge loss. And actually, if before this whole thing, black was losing by a little bit, now black is losing by a lot. We could pretty much stop right here because it's not going to change much, but at the end of the game, I think Shin Jinseo was losing by almost 30 points at the moment when he resigned the game. Now, this is kind of the game that we expected to see. Before the match, a lot of strong players were asked what they thought the result would be, and most answers that I saw were that KataGo is most likely to win 3-0, because it's just too strong and 2 stones is just not enough. We see that online there are a lot of AI players who can give 5 or 6 stones to some strong 9-down players and still win. So 2 stones doesn't sound enough at all. And this game perfectly demonstrates that. KataGo kept this game very unclear, very difficult to read, introduced a lot of uncertainty, dragged Shin Jinseo into a fight, and he couldn't control it. And the big question now is, can Shin Jinseo regain his composure for the second game after such a devastating loss. And I guess we'll find the answer together when we review that game. I'll see you there.